Well, a story we've now been following here on Happening Now with the controversy over the Dakota Access Pipeline, which would carry North Dakota crude oil to the U.S. Gulf. And despite growing protests, the company in charge of this project says it remains committed to making it happen. So here's a little background. Back in 2014, when the pipeline was announced, supporters said it would not only create more markets, but would reduce truck and oil train traffic, which became a growing concern after a string of fiery derailments of trains carrying North Dakota crude. Then in May of this year, construction began on this pipeline, despite ongoing efforts by the Standing Rock Sioux tribe to prevent the project. Just 2 months ago, in July, a lawsuit was filed on behalf of that Native American tribe, arguing the pipeline could impact drinking water for tribal members because it would be placed less than a mile upstream of the reservation and hadn't received the necessary environmental reviews. There's been a lot happening since then. It's received international attention, and right now we're hearing that protesters are linking themselves to some of the equipment that's out there to build the pipeline. Lauren Donovan is a reporter for the Bismarck Tribune, Bismarck being the capital of North Dakota. She's been covering this story since the very beginning. So, Lauren, a lot of back and forth between all parties involved, but if you could just set the stage, why is this such a debate?
But that is a really big question. Let me just tell you that, first of all, the protests that we're seeing here today, this encampment of Native Americans on the very border of the Standing Rock Sioux Indian Reservation, had its roots back in April when a small spirit camp was started and they pledged to remain there until the pipeline was stopped. Flash forward August 10th, the equipment shows up right north of the reservation. People started protesting that. The word got out, and within weeks, we now have somewhere between 3,000 or 4,000, mostly Native Americans from all over the country, some from all over the world, who have moved into this camp, the very primitive, rugged place. They have no running water, no plumbing, except for porta potties, no electricity, and they are encamped there in prayer and spirituality, intending to remain there until that pipeline is stopped.
Okay, I just want to stop you for a moment, Lauren, because we showed some video of both the camp in North Dakota, but I want to clarify for our viewers, we also showed video of a protest happening in San Diego. And it's our understanding that there's protests happening from different tribes all over the country, in fact,
right,
all over the world, to support the efforts of those that are in North Dakota. You've been out to where the protests are happening. Just tell us a little bit about it. What is it like? What really is at issue here?
Well, what really is at issue, of course, is whether this pipeline can proceed across what we call here the Missouri River. It's also a backup of Lake Oahe, a U.S. Army Corps of Engineer project. So that is right on the northern side of the reservation boundary, and the Standing Rock Sioux tribe is trying to prevent that river crossing, specifically because of the fear of contamination to their drinking water sources. So that is the nexus of the issue, but it has grown into a much larger, goal to stop the pipeline altogether.
Because we're unfamiliar with the geography, can you just explain to our viewers about where this pipeline is? Is it going directly through a Native American reservation?
Let me tell you that the pipeline begins in northwestern North Dakota. It makes 4 stops and picks up crude oil. It then takes a very kind of almost diagonal slice through North Dakota, and on the way through North Dakota, it comes within a half a mile of the reservation legal boundary. Now, the tribes will tell you that yes, indeed, is a legal boundary, but they have an ancestral homeland and treaty right to land around the reservation.
Okay, so we're looking at some of the equipment. So let's kind of fast forward back to today, with the protesters there linking themselves to some of the equipment. How is it being handled by local authority, and is there any work being done, or is all action paused right now as this is working itself through the legal system?
Okay, so, and I'm not going to go into all the complexities of the legal issue because it has gotten to be on many, many fronts, but on Friday, the Army Corps did stop construction right at the river crossing site, right near the reservation. Then the Department of Justice and Interior invited or asked Dakota Access Pipeline to stop construction 20 miles on either side of that. Now, this pipeline route in North Dakota is over 300 miles long, and construction continues elsewhere. Yesterday and today, this action that had been pretty much near the reservation has now moved 60 to 80 miles away from the reservation. We've had 2 back-to-back, day-to-day actions out on the pipeline, and their intent is, well, they're just going to go to where the pipeline is being worked on, and they're going to stop it there.
Interesting. Just quickly, again, because we're unfamiliar with the area, is this the only path? And the company says it remains committed to building the pipeline, that it's going to continue. But in the effort of compromise, is there another option for the company, or is this truly the only place that the pipeline makes sense because of the geography and the topography of the area?
Well, I mean, those questions, I think, probably are moot now. This is where they're permitted to go. I mean, they've been permitted by a national permit from the Corps, a routing permit from the North Dakota Public Service Commission. You know, all of the infrastructure is laid in, and so if you were going to try to adjust the route at this point, you'd have to go pretty far back on the drawing board.
Well, that's some good perspective too. We have to remember that they did get approval for the project. It's not that they didn't go and do it.
Now, if I may interrupt a little, they are missing one key piece. The U.S. Army Corps of Engineers has not yet written the easement that specifically allows them to go onto the river and bore across.
And that's the key.
A little piece is missing, but it could be a critical piece.
It's an important piece. Very interesting, Lauren. It's something we're going to watch again as a lot of supporters converge on this area, and you have protesters, as you mentioned, in the thousands.
It is absolutely an astonishing event here.
Well, Lauren, we appreciate your perspective. We look forward to having you back as we continue to watch this story. Thank you.